students, I am Sainath, your business class faculty. Today we are going to discuss about capacity to contract chapter, and this is a revision lecture. So in this chapter, first we are going to discuss about who are eligible to enter into the contract and who are ineligible to enter into the contract. Here eligibility refers to competency. So who are competent to enter into the contract? Any person is competent to enter into the contract subject to three conditions. What are those conditions? The person who wants to enter into contract must be major. That is, he must complete 18 years of age. Next one, the person who wants to enter into the contract must be sound mind. That is, he must have mental ability of thinking. He must have mental ability of thinking. Next, a person who is not disqualified by law. Yes, he must be undisqualified person. If all these three conditions are satisfied, then any person can become a contracting party. Then who are incompetent to enter into the contract? That is minors. So the persons who has not attained age of majority, that is 18 years. And unsound person, that is those persons who does not have mental ability of thinking, and disqualified persons. Law had specifically disqualified certain persons from entering into the contract. Those persons are incompetent, and any contract made with those persons is completely void. Okay, let's discuss what is the validity of the contract. If the contract is made by this competent person, then contract is valid subject to fulfillment of other essential elements. If contract is made by any of these incompetent persons, then contract will be void. Contract will be void. So the person who makes the contract can decide the validity of the contract. If they are competent, then contract may become valid. If they are incompetent, then the contract will be void only. Next, now we have to discuss about minor, unsound person and disqualified persons. So first of all, minor. So what happens if a minor enters into an agreement? So what is the validity of the agreement? Generally, minor is incompetent person. That's why any contract made with or by minor is void. So in general cases, minor's agreements are void. Why? Because means minor is incompetent to enter into the contract. That's why any agreement made by minor or made with minor is void. But there are certain cases in which minor agreement will become valid. What are those cases? First one, any contract in which a minor is a beneficiary. For example, minor entered into a contract and performed his part of obligation, and he is now entitled to get some benefits from the other party. Now minor can file a suit against the other party in order to recover those benefits. So once again I will repeat, minor must enter into the contract and he must fulfill the obligations in the contract, and he must be in the position of beneficiary. Then he can file a suit against other party for recovering those benefits. In such situation, the contract is valid. Next one, if a minor person along with major person made a contract with some other third party, then also contract will be valid. But in such a situation, the liability will lies in the hands of major person who jointly made the contract with the minor. And the minor will not get any liability. Minor is not at all liable. If third party want to sue, he can sue that major person but not minor person. So complete liability will goes into the hands of major only. But the validity of contract is valid because one of the contracting party is major. Next one, if minor is backed with surety. For example, a minor made an agreement with a major person, and for such minor a major person becomes surety. then what happens to that minor agreement? It will become valid, but any liability which arises on part of minor will be paid by the surety. That surety will be liable on behalf of minor. So minor will get benefits, but he will not get any liability. His liability will be taken by surety. That means if third party wants to file a suit against minor for breach of contract, yes, he can do that, but not against minor, only against surety. That is a major person who acted as guarantor to minor. Next one. Any contract made by guardian of the minor. It is also valid, but in order to become valid, it needs to satisfy certain conditions. What are those conditions? First one, the guardian must enter into contract on behalf of minor but not in his personal behalf. And the guardian must have entered into contract for the benefits of minor only, but not for his own or personal benefits. And the contract must not be related to immovable property. If these three conditions are satisfied, then any contract made by guardian on behalf of minor is valid only. So these are the cases in which minus agreements are valid. Generally minus agreements are void because minor is incompetent person, but these are the exception cases in which minus agreement will become valid. Next one. Minor and negotiable instruments. What happens if minor draws a negotiable instrument? Then he is not liable on such negotiable instrument. For example, minor accepted a promissory note. He is not liable. Minor accepted bill of exchange. He is not liable. Minor gave a check and the check got dishonored. Minor is not liable. So minor is not liable in case of negotiable instruments. However, if negotiable instrument is in the favor of minor, then if it is dishonored, minor can file a suit against other party. That means negotiable instruments which are in favor of minor are valid. Negotiable instruments which are against minor are invalid and unenforceable. Next one. Remedies for breach of contract. What happens if minor commits breach of contract? Generally, if a person commits breach of contract, then court may allow either for specific performance or for restitution. Court may allow anything, depends upon situation. So either specific performance or restitution. Okay, what happens if the contract is broken by minor? Then court will not allow for specific performance and court will not allow for restitution. That means if you transferred any benefit to the minor, you can't recover the same. But if minor passes some benefits to you, then he can recover. So minor can recover those benefits which are passed to you. But if any benefit which is passed to minor, then it cannot be recovered back. So restitution is not applicable. And you can't ask minor to perform what he promised to do. That is, no specific performance is applicable in case of minor. Next one, ratification versus novation. So ratification means continuing the old contract. Novation means creation of new contract instead of old contract. Okay, what happens if minor entered into an agreement during his minority and he wants to continue the contract after attaining majority? It is not possible. That means minor cannot ratify the agreements which are entered during his minority. So ratification is not possible. Instead of ratification, he can try novation. That means he can create a new contract in the place of old contract. But he cannot continue the old contract because old contract is void due to incompetency of the person. That's why you cannot continue the old contract through ratification. But you can create a new contract in place of old contract, and that new contract will be valid subject to other essential elements. So continuing old contract means ratification and creation of new contract after attaining majority means novation. So ratification is not possible whereas novation is possible. Next one, minor in other contracts. First one, minor wants to become a partner in a partnership firm. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Generally, no, but minor can be admitted into a partnership firm for the benefits of the firm. What is meant by benefits? Nothing but generally partners will have unlimited liability, but if minor joins into a partnership firm as a partner, then he will have limited liability. That is liability up to the amount of his share in capital. That's it. He will not have any personal liability. But what about remaining normal partners? They are all fully liable. If firm assets are insufficient to pay the firm debt, they have to bring their personal assets. But in case of minor partner, no need to bring any personal assets because minor partner is liable up to his share of capital. That's why minor in general cannot become a partner, but for benefits he can become a partner in a partnership firm. Next one, agent. Minor can act like agent. Okay, there will be no problem in it. And for any act committed by minor as an agent, principal will be liable. But principal can't take any damages from minor due to loss occasioned by him. For example, a minor made a contract on behalf of the principal and incurred a loss of 5,000 rupees. Who has to bear that 5,000 rupees loss? It must be borne by principal only. And he cannot ask agent to pay that amount. If the agent is major person, he can ask the agent to pay that 5,000 rupees as damages. But if the agent is minor, then he can't ask the minor to compensate that amount. That means minor can become agent, but minor is not liable for anyone, including for principal also. But the whatever acts which are committed by minor, for such acts principal will be liable. So minor can become a agent without any personal liability. Next one, minor as insolvent. So in order to become insolvent, you must have some liabilities. But in case of minor, there will be no liabilities. Court will always try to protect minor in case of contractual matters. That's why minor will not have any liability, so he cannot be declared as insolvent. After attaining majority, if he is unable to pay his debts, then he may apply for insolvency and he may become insolvent. That is in major case, but not in minor case. As a minor, he will not become insolvent person. Next one, member in a company. Can a minor become a member in a company? No, minor cannot become a member in a company. So if you become member, you will get voting right. But being a minor, he cannot be a member of the company. Next one, can he become shareholder? Yes, he can become shareholder, but he can become shareholder for fully paid shares, and which must be acquired through his parent or guardian, and which must be acquired from secondary market, that is stock market. If these three conditions are satisfied, minor can act like a shareholder, but in no situation minor can act like a member. So what is the difference between member and shareholder? Shareholder is a person who holds the shares, and member is a person who will have voting power. Yes, shareholder will get voting power, but minor will remain as a shareholder without voting power. That's why minor will be considered as shareholder but not as member. Next one, offenses committed by minor. So first of all, we have to classify the offenses into two types: criminal offenses, civil offenses. So criminal offenses, in case of criminal offenses, minor is always liable. Why? Because if any person commits crime, then he will be punishable irrespective of his age. Yes, minor will get definitely a lesser punishment when compared to major person, but minor will not be excused in case of criminal offenses. Minor is still liable for punishment. Then what about civil offenses? So civil offenses are otherwise known as tort. Civil offenses are otherwise known as torts. Then minor is liable for torts or not. So for this purpose, we have to check whether such tort is in contractual nature or non-contractual nature. If such tort is in non-contractual nature, then also minor will be liable, just like criminal offence. But if such tort is in contractual nature, then minor will not be liable for that. So minor will be protected. That means for the offences committed by the minor, minor will be liable. But if the same offence is related to contract, then minor will be protected. So other than contractual offences, that is non-contractual offences and criminal offences, minor will be liable for punishment. But in case of contractual offences, minor will be totally protected. Next one. Then what is the liability of parent or guardian for the offences committed by the minor? So parent or guardian are not liable. Why? Because the person who commits the mistake will be liable, but not any other person. If a son or daughter commits mistake, then that son or daughter will become liable, but not their parents or guardian. However, if parents acts like principal and that son or daughter act like agent, and as a agent they committed any offense, then for such offense, as a principal, parent or guardian will be liable. Unless there is principal and agent relationship between parents and children, parents or guardian are not responsible for the offences committed by the minor. However, if there is any principal and agent relation, then for offences committed by the minor, their parents or guardian will be held responsible. Next one. So by this, minus agreements provisions are completed. Now second set, second incompetent person. Who is that person? Unsound person. How to determine whether a person is sound mind or unsound mind? How to determine whether a person is sound mind or unsound mind? So for this purpose, we have to check whether such person is understanding terms of the contract and making a best judgment. So if the person is capable of both these things, then such person will be considered as sound mind person. Otherwise, such person will be unsound mind person. Then at what time we need to check these two conditions? We have to check these two conditions at the time of making of agreement. So please check while making contract whether such person is understanding the terms of contract and he is making best judgment suited to his, then he will be considered as sound mind person. If he is not capable of understanding terms or not capable of making best judgment for him, then he will be considered as unsound mind person. So we have to check only at the time of entering into agreement, but not afterwards. What happens if a person made contract while he was a sound mind person, later he becomes unsound? Contract is still valid. Other party needs to wait until this person comes into normal stage, or he can ask the legal heirs to perform such contract. So but contract validity will not be affected, contract is still valid. But if at the time of entering into the agreement, if the person is unsound mind person, then that contract is void, even though later such person becomes sound mind. So we have to check whether such person is sound or unsound only at the time of making of agreement, but not afterwards. Next one. Types of unsound mind persons. First one, idiot. Who is idiot? Whose mental incapability is permanent. So he is permanently unsound mind person. Who is lunatic person? He is temporarily unsound mind person. For example, sometimes he will remain as a sound mind person and sometimes he will become unsound. Again, sometimes he will become unsound mind and again he will become sound mind. So those type of unsound mind people will be called as lunatic persons. But the same is not so in the case of idiot, because in case of idiot the unsoundness is permanent. So lifelong he will remain as an unsound mind person only. Next one, drunkard or intoxicant. So the person who consumes alcohol will be called as drunkard and the person who consumes drugs will be called as intoxicant. So when those persons excessively consumes either alcohol or drugs, then they will go into unconscious state. So while they are in unconscious state, they will be treated as unsomnolent person until they get into normal situation. Next one, hypnotizer person. Nothing but you applied a technique called as hypnotism on other person in order to control him, and during that hypnotism state, that person will be considered as unsomnolent person because that person is in your control and he is not capable of understanding terms. That's why those persons are also unsomnolent persons only, but until that hypnotism state loss. Next one, delirious person. Nothing but restless person. So if a person completely becomes restless due to some fever or any other disease, then his mental ability will be reduced. So till he restored to normal position, he will be considered as unsomnolent person. And last one, mentally distressed persons. So the persons who are suffering with mental distress are also considered as unsomnolent persons till such suffering is there. So idiot, he is always unsomnolent person. Lunatic person is only unsound during certain intervals, and those intervals are called as insane or non-lucid intervals. And the time period at which he becomes a sound mind will be called as lucid intervals or sane intervals. Next, drunkard or intoxicant. So whenever they are in unconscious situation, then only they will be considered as unsomnolent person. Hypnotizer person, only when they are in hypnotism state. Delirious person, only when they are in restless position. Mentally distressed person, only when they are suffering with such distress. Only at that time they are considered as unsomnolent person. So only at that time they are incompetent to enter into the contract as they are unsomnolent person. So idiot. So lifetime he will be unsound mind. That's why he cannot make any contract during his lifetime. Lunatic person, in insane or non-lucid intervals he will be unsound person, so he cannot make contract. Drunkard or intoxicant, when they are in unconscious state they cannot make contract. Hypnotism, when they are in artificial sleep, then they cannot make contract. Delirious person, when they are in such position, that is restless position, then they cannot make contract. Mentally distressed persons, when they are suffering with that distress, they cannot make contract. Remaining times they can make a valid contract. Next, third persons, that is disqualified persons. So who are disqualified persons from entering into the contract? Law specifically disqualified certain persons from entering into the contract. Among them, the first one was insolvent. So insolvent is disqualified from entering into the contract. Next, alien enemy. Next, foreign representatives. Next, convicts, that is prisoners. Next, company, and next, corporations. Okay, when they cannot make contract, insolvent person while he was insolvent. For example, I had made an IP, that is insolvency petition, and court declares me as an insolvent. What happens now? I will lose my contractual capacity. I will be disqualified person. I cannot make any valid contract. Then when I can make a valid contract, when means when I had made discharge petition and court had discharged me from insolvency, then I will become solvent person, then I can make a valid contract. That means once insolvency order is passed, you will be declared as insolvent. Once court issues discharge certificate, you will become solvent. So during this time period, you cannot make any contract, because during this time period you will be considered as insolvent person. That's why during this time period you cannot make any valid contract. Next, alien enemy. Who is alien enemy? Nothing but he is a foreigner whose country is with war with our country. So if their country is in war with our country, then their country people will be called as alien enemies. So during war time we cannot make any contract with such persons. Next one, foreign representatives. So who are foreign representatives? So foreign representatives are those persons who represent their foreign country in our country. Okay, then what is its effect? If he made any contract, he cannot be sued in our courts. For example, a foreign representative came from USA and lives in India, and he is representing his country in India. Now you made a contract with that person. Okay, you can make that contract, but you cannot sue that person in our courts because it will disturb relation between India and USA. That's why if you want to file a suit against that person, you have to do two things. First one, you have to obtain central government permission. Then only you can sue that person. Otherwise, you can do one more thing. That is, you have to obtain a prior consent letter from that foreign representative. That means, if I committed breach of contract, then you can sue me even though I am a foreign representative. So that is the declaration which needs to be given by such foreign representative before entering into the contract. If such person gives such representation or declaration, then for breach of contract committed by foreign representative, you can sue that person. Otherwise, you cannot sue that person. Any contract made with such persons are void in order to preserve the relation between our country and their country. Next one, convict. Convict means prisoner. So during the period of his imprisonment, he cannot make any contract. However, if he paroled or pat down or if he takes ticket of leave and come out of the jail, then he can make a valid contract during that time. So if he was in jail, he cannot make any contract. If he comes out of the jail with any official support, then he can make a valid contract. What happens if he unofficially escaped from the jail? Then his incompetency will continue till his period of imprisonment gets completed. Next one, company. Company will be disqualified from entering into the contract when it acts against its object clause. So object clause decides what to do and what not to do. So company has to adhere to the object clause which is made in MOA. If company violates the object clause, then company will be considered as disqualified person. Similarly, corporation has to adhere to act which creates it. Corporation means it is a company, it is a form of company which is created by a special act. It has to follow the rules and regulations which are mentioned in special act. However, if such corporation violates the provisions of that act, then corporation will be considered as disqualified person and any contract made with such corporation will be void. So all these persons are disqualified persons from entering into the contract. If you made any contract with these people, then your contract will be void. Next, we have one more concept called as necessaries, and this is the last one. Necessaries. First of all, what is meant by necessary? What is meant by necessary? Necessary means anything which includes food, cloth, shelter, legal expenses, educational expenses, medical expenses, funeral expenses, Diwali puja expenses, and finally marriage expense of a female person. So all these will come under the category of necessaries. Okay, what happens if a competent person supplied those necessaries or provided loan to buy such necessaries to minor or his dependent family members or unsolvent person or his dependent family members? What happened? Then a quasi contract will be created. As per quasi contract, the person who supplied such necessaries will be entitled to get a reasonable amount from their property. If there is no property, then nothing can be recoverable. If there is property, then you can recover reasonable amount for the necessaries supplied to you. Next one, is minor is personally liable? No. Unsolvent personally liable? No. Only their property will be liable. If there is property, then only competent person who supplied necessaries will get reasonable amount. If there is no property, then competent person who supplied necessaries will not get anything. So this is about necessaries supplied to incompetent person, and moreover here only two persons will be covered. One is minor and the other one is unsolved person, and no disqualified persons in this situation. Only two persons, a minor, unsolved person, and their dependent family members. If such competent person supply necessaries or provide loan to buy such necessaries to any of these persons, then he can get a reasonable amount from their property. And the term necessaries will change from person to person based on their condition of life, that is status of life, and it will differ from person to person based on availability. For example, if I was in need of clothes and if any person supplied clothes to me, then it will be considered necessary. But if I have excess supply of clothes, if any person supplied cloth to me, then it will be considered as luxury but not necessary. So necessary will change from person to person based on availability, that is need, and as well as condition of life, that is status of life.
Hi students, just now you have watched a sample of RRB videos available in Masterminds app for all the subjects of CA Foundation. If you like this video and if you are interested to purchase the entire course of a particular subject, that means entire RRB videos of a particular subject, yes, they are available right in your hands. So open your mobile phone and please do install an app called Masterminds Online Classes, which is available in Google Play Store. After that, enter your particulars and in the home screen you will find an option called Store. Please click that option and these are all the filters. So one of the filters you will be able to see is CA Foundation RRB. If you click this option, you will find the RRB videos of all the subjects. And whatever the subject you want, you can purchase through this app. So it's not required for you to purchase the RRBs of all the subjects. Whatever the subject you like, you can purchase the same. And even mathematics, statistics and reasoning are being uploaded as 3 separate subjects. And for each subject we have given detailed explanation of sometimes 30 to 40 hours. So in just a matter of 30 to 40 hours, you will be able to revise the entire subject. That is the beauty of these RRB videos. And you can even watch these videos in iOS platform. If you belong to iOS platform, please do install an app called Class Plus, and enter the organization code as MZGun. Then you will be able to access all these videos in iOS platform also. My dear students, if you have any academic issues, please do send a mail to my mail ID mssprakash2012@gmail.com. And my dear students, not only RRB videos, all the videos related to CA Foundation are available in the same app. So for example, CA Foundation regular batch videos of all the subjects, CA Foundation crash batch videos of all the subjects, and sometimes CA Foundation chapter wise videos of some important chapters are also available in the same app. So if you are interested to buy a particular subject, then you can purchase the same through this app. So either CA Foundation regular batch or crash batch videos are already available here. So through this app, at the convenience of your mobile phone, you can watch any videos of your choice without any human intervention, and you can pay the amount through various options. So my dear students, I hope that all of you will enjoy these services. All the best. Let's have a glimpse into the roots of the Masterminds. So Masterminds were established in 2002 and is undeniably the pioneer and the leader in MEC, CA and CMA coaching in India, with a lion's share of nearly 20,000 admissions per annum. It is an incredible initiative by 3 visionary edupreneurs. That is me, MSS Prakash, Chartered Accountant, my brother Mohan, my sister-in-law Radha, from the same family at a very young age under the successful mentorship of our father, Mr. M. Sivaprasad. Within the shortest span, our presence have expanded to almost all major cities of AP and Telangana. We are humbled to say that very soon we want to expand to the states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu also. So especially with the wishes and support of all our old students. We offer best quality services for MEC with integrated coaching for CRCMA Foundation. Exclusive MEC CEC coaching is also available. Regular class, study hours and revision exams, MMTS services for all the levels of CSCMA courses. And recently we launched a unique academic program called MEC Pro, aiming the students who aspire to pursue BBA, CLAT or MDA in future rather than CSCMA courses, and we have received excellent response. So our students have achieved first rank for 47 times in various courses that we offer coaching. Till now, our students have bagged 977 All India ranks in all the stages of CSCMA courses. So 98 All India ranks in a single attempt of CMA inter and final exams, and 180 All India ranks in CSCMA courses in 2019 and 20 alone. So 3 All India first ranks in the year 2020 alone. So right now we have around 150 batches of various courses in Guntur and all our branches together.